special guest today on Keeping in Touch is Dr. Stephen Mallory, a psychiatrist here in town, and our topic is holiday blues. Welcome to the program today.
My pleasure, Mr. Hammett.
Good music we've just heard. Christmas music to set the stage to get us in the mood.
Very pretty.
The topic today, holiday blues. I guess for starters, what are holiday blues?
Well, when I refer to holiday blues, I'm talking about a pattern of a depressed mood that it's not to the severity of causing major problems in the person's life. So it's more kind of time limited, not real severe, but associated with a time of year referred to as holidays, where people can have relatively high expectations for themselves or the family. And sometimes they set themselves up to be frustrated compared to previous years and feel down.
I know, Dr. Mallory, we're going to go into a lot of detail today about this, and we're going to even have a test that you've brought with you today that we're going to minister on the second part of this program today for people to be able to tell where they score as opposed to whether or not they have holiday blues. And we're going to have that coming up later. But I guess for starters, I know when the holidays are upon us, managing our time is quite a chore. How can we do that more effectively?
Well, I think the key is, if possible, try to plan ahead is one thing that really helps. Try to see what responsibilities you have coming up. Try to anticipate, enlist the help of other people and not feel like you have to take on everything by yourself. And I think be realistic about your expectations for the holiday season.
As far as preparing earlier, do you think that might be a good idea? Because I wonder, it seems like a lot of times you see so many people after the Thanksgiving season is over with just, going to the stores like crazy, and, it's like a mad rush starting. Sometimes it even starts the weekend before Thanksgiving gets here. But would it help if people started that earlier? And if they should start it earlier, how much earlier should they start it?
Well, I think there's several ways in which people can manage the holiday season better. One is what activities they plan. And I think it's helpful to even block out some time for the family or for oneself and just say, I'm not going to be doing anything during this time. This is going to be kind of downtime, relaxation time. Another way that's real important is financially, to kind of budget yourself, not just get into this frenzy of charging, building up credit, and getting in over your head financially, which is then going to come back and haunt you early the following year.
It's amazing how some people, just because you've got a $1,000 or $2,000 limit on a credit card and it's Christmas time, that doesn't mean that you should go out and spend all that on that credit card.
No, and a lot of experts say you should use credit cards in the exact opposite way. It should be for convenience, but you really shouldn't spend unless you've got the cash available.
Also, many people seem to have unrealistic expectations about Christmas. Tell us about that.
I think we all bring our own histories into holiday season. We've grown up, we've had some holidays that were wonderful, enjoyable, and probably some that were not so pleasant. I think we tend to remember the better times, and that kind of sets us up, though, to expect to have at least as good a time the upcoming holiday season as anyone we've had in the past. And that's where you have to be careful. You've got to find that balance that works. It's good to have an enjoyable time and carry some responsibility, but not be unrealistic.
What about some of I think one of the problems also in connection with that, it seems like the media plays a big role in making people have unrealistic expectations with all the commercials, the movies, Bing Crosby's White Christmas, the Walden's Christmas Story, some of the other TV families that seem to have these perfect Christmases, and we just sort of grab hold of that, don't we?
Well, I would hope that families could use that more for entertainment and just realize it's entertainment and not feel like it applies to them.
Family traditions at Christmas time, they're big. A lot of get-togethers. How important are those kinds of things, Dr. Mallory?
I think family traditions are real important. It's something that we, again, bring with us when we form our own families, when we have children. It's something that we use to kind of hold the family together, and it's something that we impart to our own children. I think it's important, though, not to be too rigid with traditions, that traditions are something that of course, mothers and fathers bring to the family, but then it's okay to modify those, and children may choose to change their own traditions when they get older.
Give us some examples of changing traditions. I know that you feel like, and most people feel like it's okay to hang on to some, but what you're saying is it's okay also to set some new ones. What are some examples of people being able to do that?
Well, probably among the most common is the question of where should we spend the holidays, and often it's with other family members, maybe grandparents, aunts, uncles, and a lot of families find that they get together at a certain place, a certain time with certain family members year after year after year. And that's wonderful, and it works for many families, but it's also okay to modify that too, especially being considerate of the other branch of the family. And so, you know, that's one example that comes to mind. It can also be as simple as maybe a get-together with neighbors around Christmas season. Some families have traditions on Christmas Eve. Some traditions involve maybe a church service on Christmas Eve. Again, those are very meaningful, but it's also nice to vary too.
Christmas time, a lot of times people seem to get into, you know, themselves, you know, how much they can buy for themselves or their loved ones. How important is it to try to get some of the focus off of ourselves around this holiday and do other types of things for other folks?
Again, I think the key is a balance. There's some people that are excellent at helping others out to the point that they suffer. They give. They're probably the individuals that need to take a little time off and be alone and just, you know, not stay busy all the time. And there are other people that really need to reach out and try to help other people. Maybe think about what opportunities are available in the community to help out, say at a soup kitchen, or help out a local hospital, maybe bring some gifts in, or special presents, say for children that are in the hospital around holiday season.
And some of those kinds of things are, sounds like they would be real emotionally healthy for us to do.
They're meaningful. Some of my most treasured memories as an adult around Christmas season were helping people less fortunate.
Post-holiday blues, a time after Christmas where a lot of times people get down. Why does that happen, and what can we do to safeguard against it?
Well, it's very common, and actually from my perspective, being in the mental health field, I probably see more significant depression after the holidays than during the holidays. I think if a person handles their expectations of holiday season more appropriately, they're at less risk for that slump after the holidays. The other thing that works for plenty of people is to have something to look forward to, maybe a getaway or a special activity in January or February, and it's something to look forward to rather than, you know, on top of the roller coaster and then the holidays end and there's nowhere to go.
Part of the complication for me, anyway, is that winter is staring us in the face. The leaves have all fallen, the beautiful leaves that we've just seen, and still turning beautiful right here around the mid-state. They're all gone. It's a kind of a cold, barren time. Christmas is over. We have this tremendous build-up for the biggest holiday of the year, and then we don't have any plans, and we get the blahs.
Happens for many people. Fortunately, our season here in Middle Georgia is not, the winter season is not nearly as long as areas north of us, and one of the problems that can happen that's more common up north is seasonal affective disorder, where truly people's moods can be affected by the length of the cold season and the short days.
We're going to go and we're going to take a break, and we're going to listen to some more Christmas music by Bellevue Baptist Choir under the direction of Jim Barrow. But when we come back, we're going to do a test that you brought with you today. We'll be right back after this music.
The virgin will be with child, and will give birth to a son. They will call him Emmanuel, which means God with us.
You who bring good tidings to Zion, go on the high mountain. You who bring good tidings to Jerusalem, lift up your voice with a shout. Lift it up. Do not be afraid. say to the towns of Judah,
Here is your God.
Really enjoying this music today. I know we're going to end the program today with a beautiful Christmas carol, We Wish You a Merry Christmas, which most people love that song too. There are a lot of beautiful Christmas songs out.
I think it's part of the holiday season to enjoy good music.
The holiday blues quiz that you brought, we're just going to start with these questions, Dr. Mallory. The first one says, studies show that holiday blues are most common around A, New Year's Day, B, Easter, C, Christmas, D, none of the above. Your answer.
One of the main points of the first question was that we really don't have good studies about holiday blues. So I think our common sense pushes us toward Christmas season is the time where most people are going to have holiday blues. Well, actually, there are no good studies on holiday blues at all. So really the correct answer is D, none of the above.
That's interesting. I got it wrong. I would have got that one wrong. The second question, concerning family traditions, all the following are true except A, family traditions link the past and the future. B, family traditions should remain the same year after year. C, family traditions benefit from everyone, including children, having a voice. And D, family traditions provide continuity, comfort, and security.
The one incorrect answer is that family tradition should remain the same year after year. As we talked earlier, it's actually important for people to modify the family traditions and for people to accept that change is part of growing up and families growing.
Question number 3, more commonly seen during the holidays are all of the following except A, seasonal affective disorder, B, bulimia nervosa, C, an increase in psychiatric hospitalizations, and D, symptoms of alcohol abuse.
The correct answer is an increase in psychiatric hospitalizations. Again, usually the symptoms of holiday blues is not of a severity that leads to a person having to be admitted. And most people during holiday season, they hang in there. They do well enough. They survive that. Unfortunately, major depression, and occasionally to the point of requiring hospitalization, is more common after the holidays.
Question number 4, suicide is most common A, in spring, B, in midsummer, C, at Thanksgiving, and D, over Christmas and New Year's.
The research comes up with several different possibilities here. Most of the papers that I have read suggest that springtime is the most common time for suicides.
Number 5, an effective strategy to help with finances over the holidays is A, sticking to a budget, B, buying yourself something nice, C, avoiding credit cards, and D, all of the above.
Obviously, the answer is all of the above.
Okay. And our last question in our holiday blues quiz. A general goal for the holidays should include A, postponing volunteer work, B, expecting more of yourself each year, C, avoiding time alone, and D, none of the above.
The correct answer is D, none of the above. Holidays should be a time that people should consider volunteer work, not expecting more and more of yourself each year, and it's fine and probably necessary to spend some time alone.
I know now we're going to talk some about there are certain people, segment of our society that have a lot more difficulty during the holiday season than others. Tell us about some of those.
There's several different groups of people that I think are relatively at risk. One is if a person has experienced a significant loss around holiday season, then obviously it's kind of a double hit. They're experiencing the anniversary of the loss in addition to remembering back to previous holidays.
And that would include somebody that had just lost somebody in the last year, maybe last Christmas, or several Christmases ago. It could go back a long way.
It could go back a long way.
That they're going to be naturally sad when they look at that vacant seat at the table around the holiday celebrations, and they're going to say Uncle Bob or Aunt Mary or whoever it is that has died and slipped away, they're not with us anymore.
I think it's that loss, and one thing that people can do is try to remember the positives about the relationship, what they gained from the person, and try to use that as a positive, that it enriched them as an individual, it enriched the family, and use that as a positive to more help with the holiday season rather than just focusing on the loss.
Dr. Mallory, for the person that might be watching this program that becomes severely depressed every Christmas because of a loss, what would you advise this person to do?
I think a lot of the strategies we've talked about in dealing with holidays probably could be useful for that person. If their down times, their depression is only localized to the holidays, I think all of the different suggestions we've talked about would probably be helpful. If it's of a severity that's really interfering with the person's life, and extending beyond holiday season, they may have to reach out for some professional help to help them deal with that loss.
The person that has problems with alcohol and or drug abuse, are they more apt to have problems around Christmas time? And if so, what needs to be done about those people?
Well, the hope is that the person realizes that they are at risk or have an active problem, and they need to be extra careful to avoid those situations where there's going to be alcohol.
And there'll be a lot of parties and that kind of stuff around Christmas,
yes,
especially.
Yes.
And New Year's.
It's throughout the holiday season, and probably more people take a little more time away from work. So it's a whole atmosphere that I think puts that person at risk.
So this person that know that they're at risk, they should decline party invitations if they know that alcohol is going to be present and they're already having a problem with that.
If it's been identified that they have a major problem, and I think that's irrespective of getting into the labeling process of alcoholic or not alcoholic. I think if alcohol has presented major problems for the person, they probably need to just avoid those parties or situations where they know alcohol is going to be.
Do they need to possibly spend more time with their sponsors and make sure they're making their meetings and those kinds of things? I guess they have programs that try to target the holidays to help people.
I think the support groups such as AA have plenty of functions going on during holiday season, and of course, if families are supportive of a family member who is in recovery, they're going to reach out and involve appropriate family for get-togethers or neighbors. So there's plenty of opportunity for socialization without alcohol.
Why would a person with an eating disorder have problems around the holidays? And I know there's a lot of food, and I know that, but you usually just think of that in connection with people that are dieting, but we're talking eating disorders, which I guess is a little bit different.
For plenty of people, eating to excess is a common occurrence in addition to drinking to excess. So I think it's the amount of food, the focus on food. For a lot of people, the preparation of food takes on a big meaning. Some families, a lot of their activities through holiday season is in the kitchen and the smells of holiday season. And I think a person who's struggling with an eating disorder is at risk.
What about the person, maybe not with an eating disorder, but that are staying on a diet? And, what kinds of things? I mean, calories galore everywhere you look. Every kind of party, it's loaded down with calories. Should you take a holiday from your diet? What kinds of things would these people need to do?
I have heard some people that prefer to stay away from parties if they know there's going to be a lot of food. Other people will eat foods that they know are healthier for them, so they're going to be satiated before they go to the party, and they're not going to have any cravings, the way they would if they had not eaten, and that helps.
Do you think there's ever a time where somebody might need to just don't worry about their diet at the holidays and go back? I hear people that do it, and I guess that's the reason I'm asking you the question.
I think the key is moderation. And I think a lot of people that are on diets may break it, as long as they don't go overboard. The problem is some people don't know how to put on the brakes, and once they get out of a diet, they don't get back into the diet. And so the eating excessively or inappropriate foods, high caloric foods, high fatty foods just continues on.
The person at risk that has major depression, tell us about them.
A person who is struggling with depression is at relative risk. Again, the expectations of holiday season, if they have had any losses. Fortunately, most people who have had major depression do not have a recurrence around holiday season, but it's just another at-risk category.
Seasonal affective disorder syndrome, or sometimes known as SADS, which occurs at a certain time. Well, define that for us, first of all.
Well, it's a form of depression, and it's beyond the kind of low-grade depression. It's beyond holiday blues, and it's a clinical entity which has only been identified really over the past 10 to 15 years. So it is a picture of significant depression that tends to occur during the winter season, probably associated with the amount of sunlight that we're exposed to. It's more common in northern parts of the country because the length of their day is so much shorter. There's some features that are a little bit different. For example, some of the people with seasonal affective disorder want to eat more than usual as opposed to not wanting to eat as much, and they want to sleep more than usual, as opposed to the more typical situation with major depression where a person is not sleeping enough.
Were there some research concerning light studies that were done, I think, that you had talked to me about maybe a couple of years ago?
Yes. Light therapy for SAD is definitely proven to work. And interestingly, over the past couple of years, the price of the lights has really dropped. And so now there are a number of companies that are offering effective lights in the range of $300, whereas when they first were made available to the public, they were up to $1,000. It was pretty prohibitive for most people.
Now these are a certain kind of lights that I guess you could take and just screw them in the light bulb at home, or
well,
they go on a...
From what I've seen, they're special bulbs, so it's beyond just a bulb that you can screw in any lamp. They are actually small lamps. There are different models, but you're right, there's a special frequency of the light, and that's why they're so expensive. But what people do with these lights is they give themselves an extra hour or two every day that they can read. There have been interesting studies where some people even will have a timer and the light will cut on while they're asleep. So we're not sure how that works, but just the light shining on them is sufficient enough for treatment of SAD.
I know that we've got like 30 seconds left in today's program. Been a fantastic program, by the way. Real interesting topic. For those that are alone, what are some things they can do?
I think you just have to reach out. You've got to look around. You've got to see what's important to you, get involved with neighbors, reach out to help other people through the church, through community agencies. I think by getting involved and helping others, it helps us.
Dr. Mallory, thank you very much for coming over and doing this program. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thank you. Same to you.